Watch right now on the Front News Project. Hundreds of explosions in St. Petersburg and the region. Drones are tearing apart Russian military facilities. Destruction of Russian air defense and the logistics of the Russian army. These are middle strikes Ukrainian style. You have to see this. And also the offensive in SU 2026. This is a sentence for Putin. Exclusive video. Fiery, intense, and blazing footage from the front line. Watch right now. Greetings, this is Vladimir Timoshenko with you, and we're starting right away with the main topic. There's turmoil in St. Petersburg and the Leningrad region. This was one of the most powerful and destructive drone attacks on Russian military facilities. Russia has reported shooting down 249 UAVs in various regions. Due to the threat of attacks, the airport in St. Petersburg has restricted flight operations. At the same time, the largest oil transshipment port near St. Petersburg is on fire. Here are the details.
Russia has stopped sleeping peacefully.
Right in the city, guys. Quiet, quiet. Quiet. Do you hear that, damn it, Gouache? Step away from the window, quickly.
Petersburg is under attack. The Russian authorities believe that their air defense supposedly shot down about 60 UAVs in less than a day. Residents of St. Petersburg heard explosions in Pavlovsk, Shushary, Pushkin, and the Moskovsky district of the city. The main airport of Petersburg was closed for arrivals and departures. More than 300 flights were cancelled or delayed. A Rusia Airlines flight sent out a distress signal.
They lost everything, as they say. In
the port of Primorsk in the Leningrad region, a fuel tank was damaged after a drone strike. Primorsk is the largest oil port of the Russian Federation on the Baltic Sea and a key export hub. Its operator is Transneft. It is from here that the main volume of Urals crude oil was shipped, including via the Shadow Fleet, to bypass sanctions. A strike on such a hub directly affects the export logistics and foreign currency revenues of the Russian Federation. At this time, communication was cut off in St. Petersburg and the region, but as we can see, it didn't really help. The new internet blackout is not making the locals happy at all. In just 1 hour, the number of complaints soared above 1,000. A Russian woman can't figure out what to do with her smartphone, which has turned into a brick.
Tell me, how long are we supposed to put up with the fact that we have, what is this in my hands? An iPhone with Instagram, with Telegram, WhatsApp, Google, and basically the internet in general, or is it just a coaster for a wobbly table? And how long will mobile operators keep charging us for a service that doesn't exist? It's been like this for the last 3 weeks. I don't have internet? Never, never. And what's interesting is that my mobile operator is Megaphone, and I pay 900 rubles a month. When I signed up for my plan, I said I didn't need to make calls anywhere, I just needed internet. I understand that in today's Russia, 900 rubles is no longer a lot of money, but I'd rather give it to homeless people for vodka. They'd at least say thank you. I went to the Megaphone store to get an eSIM for my new phone. They offered me, Marina Alexandrovna, a special promotion just for you. If you pay for a year of service for 7,500 rubles, you'll get more gigabytes, terabytes of internet. What internet?
Complaints are coming in en masse. The authorities just shrug, explaining everything as security measures.
Look, the sun is shining outside. Without even going for a walk, I've just been sitting and working non-stop for several days now. And then it turns out that we have new restrictions, that there are limits on the internet and everything else. I just sit and wonder, what's the point of all these sacrifices if everything is going to be shut down soon anyway? I honestly don't understand why everyone is staying silent. Everyone is hurting, everyone feels bad, but everyone stays silent. Why is everyone silent?
A surveillance camera captured a powerful explosion in Gatchina, Leningrad region. A Russian air defense missile exploded here just a kilometer away from the Viscom military factory. This is a closed defense enterprise that historically branched off from the structures of the Gatchina avant-garde plant. The enterprise specializes in the development and production of close combat weapons and explosive devices, as well as the creation of special equipment for the needs of the Russian Federation's security forces. It is officially included in the register of the Russian Defense Industrial Complex Organization. This is a legitimate target for the Ukrainian armed forces. Belgorod region, Smorodina village. Here, a drone attacked the governor of Belgorod, Gladkov, who had come to inspect the aftermath of yet another attack.
Quickly close the door. Come in. Please come in right now. He is definitely coming in after us. And he is lurking somewhere around here.
The Russian side presents the incident as an attempt to attack the governor himself. The Russian National Guard stated that the drone was destroyed by a special unit right in the air. Occupied Donetsk was also attacked by Ukrainian armed forces drones. A fire was seen near the communications center, the data center in the area of the TV tower. Strange as it may sound, after that, Telegram started working in the city again. The defense forces report that it is under attack. In Donetsk, there was also a Russian base located on the grounds of the former meat processing plant in the Kalininsky district. Fires were recorded after the strike. Separatist news only showed residential buildings near the plant where windows had been blown out. Part of the occupied Luhansk region was also under attack. The defense forces hit fuel tanks in the occupied Stanitsa Luhanska as well. The occupiers were left without provisions. Ukrainian defenders continue to clear Donbass of seen Putin's army halting their advance.
And now an analysis of the operational situation on the Alexandrovsk front. The Russian world continues to destroy, kill and maim here as well. On the Alexandrovsk front, the enemy carried out 7 offensive actions in the areas of the settlements of Stepov, Novory Horivka, Krasnohorske and Zlahoda. Airstrikes with guided bombs were carried out on the areas of the settlements of Ivanivka, Pokrovska and Alexandrivka. But what is important to note here? The spring offensive of the occupiers' army is being shattered by the defense of the armed forces of Ukraine, bringing only colossal losses to the Kremlin. Moreover, Ukrainian defenders have managed to launch their own, much more successful spring offensive. All the details will be shared by my colleagues.
There are no more reserves, so Russia is planning to send all mobilized personnel from Crimea to the front. This is reported by analysts from the Institute for the Study of War. The date for the large deployment seems to have been deliberately chosen for April Fool's Day, April 1st. At the same time, some units from the peninsula have already been sent to the mainland, according to the Ukrainian command. First and foremost, to fill the gaps caused by Russia's record losses since last week.
They really did bring in reserves, including from temporarily occupied Crimea and from other directions to the Zaporizhia and Pokrovsk sectors. Their own reserves. This includes naval infantry and airborne units in order to accomplish their assigned tasks. Accordingly, reinforcements are coming in from the territory of the Russian Federation, but here the question is about quality. About
the fact that Russia has moved to a spring-summer offensive was also mentioned by President Zelensky. Commanders of various Ukrainian armed forces units are reporting an increase in the number of assaults. However, the only result this brings is unprecedented losses among the occupiers. Sometimes more than 1,500 people per day.
In just a few days, the Russians have indeed lost, even by conservative estimates, more than 8,000 of their personnel. We see that these numbers fluctuate from 970, 940 up to 1,700, 1,600. And for every square kilometer of advance by Russian troops today, the Russian army pays with the lives of more than 3 companies.
It is precisely to cover these losses that the redeployment of Crimean units to the front is being planned. As analysts note, the new personnel are supposed to replace the wounded and reinforce the 810th Separate Marine Brigade of the Russian Black Sea Fleet, whose units are currently operating in the Kursk region and as part of the Operational Tactical Group Crimea. By the way, these same forces are now trying to advance in the Sumy region, but they do not stand out from the overall background of the Russian offensive. As before, there are no results. According to
Mishovet's assessment, fighting in the border areas of the Sumy region continues in several directions. The forward units of the Russian group are trying to expand their incursion to a depth of up to 1.5 kilometers. However, so far, without success. At the same time, fighting is ongoing along the perimeter of this incursion, north of Sumy. Despite several focused attempts by Russian troops to advance southward, they have not yet managed to reach their designated lines. In
the Ukrainian command notes, the Russians do not have enough forces there for a significant breakthrough. Moreover, it is from here that the Russian General Staff, among other things, draws fighters to continue the offensive in the Donetsk region. This means that the Kremlin is not betting on success in the Sumy region.
Their task today is to create the conditions for establishing a security zone on the Sumy front. And accordingly, we are saying that the Russians are trying to demonstrate this activity in order to distract the defense forces and possibly to force us to redeploy certain reserves, specifically to the northern Slobozhansk direction.
Another telling episode of the Russian offensive remains Kupiansk. The fake capture of the city, which has been ongoing since last year, has taken on new colors. The Ukrainian armed forces managed to clear out the units that had holed up in the local hospital. And this was finally acknowledged even in Russia itself. The outcry among Russian Z military bloggers is unbelievable.
Judging by reports coming from various sources, the last authentic call signs in Kupiansk have stopped being heard on the air. May the guys rest in peace, they held out bravely until the end. Another report from Russian media, Romanov's barking. Kupiansk is almost completely occupied by the armed forces of Ukraine. Under the informational cover of the Russian Federation's Ministry of Defense, the Ukrainian side is clearing out the remaining northern sector. The guys from the Central District Hospital have died, that's all. And this means that Kupiansk is practically under the control of the Ukrainian defense forces.
At the same time, despite the assaults by Russian troops, the defense forces managed not only to hold them off, but also to advance, as reported by the Deep State Resource. And now, not only in the southern direction,
the Ukrainian defense forces have liberated Ozerna and entered Yampil in the Lyman direction. In the Oleksandrivka direction, during the ongoing counteroffensive, the Ukrainian defense forces push the enemy back, south of Novonikolaivka. So as we can see, the Ukrainian defense forces are achieving successes along the entire length of the front line.
And now we move to the Kostiantynivka direction of the front. Let's be honest, this is another sacred goal for Putin and his entire pack. Accordingly, the situation here is extremely tense. In the Kostiantynivka direction, the occupiers carried out 13 offensive actions. Near Kostiantynivka, Prishchevka, Ilyanovka, Klebenbyk, and towards Novopavlivka. 2 combat clashes are still ongoing. Destroyed Russian air defense systems. Logistics and military enterprises that serve the occupiers' army are being precisely destroyed by Ukrainian armed forces drones at a distance of 50 to 100 kilometers from the front line. We will talk about the victorious middle strike tactics in our next segment.
another one of a kind with no analogs. A Ka-52 helicopter was destroyed by a Ukrainian drone. The successful attack took place in the Pokrovsk direction. The Alligator crew went to a concert for an overview. On the night of March 19th, Ukrainian drones delivered a devastating strike on the temporarily occupied Crimean Peninsula. The target was a plant for the production and repair of air defense systems.
In occupied Sevastopol, a strike by several drones critically damaged the innovation center of the Granite enterprise, which is part of the Almaz Antey concern. This facility was used to repair and service anti-aircraft missile systems. S-400 Triumph, S-300 PM2 Favorite, radar stations 92N6E and 96L6E, medium and short-range air defense systems Buk M2, M3 and Tor M2.
2 days before this strike, the Ukrainian General Staff reported a hit on the Aviastar aircraft repair plant in the Ulyanovsk region. Shelters and aircraft parking areas were damaged. Some of the aircraft were also damaged. There was also a strike on the 123rd Aircraft Repair Plant Staraya Rusa in the Novgorod region. A hangar for servicing Il-76 and L-410 aircraft was hit. Satellite images confirmed the damage to the plants.
The enterprise involved in the production of the Il-76 as well as another facility engaged in the repair of similar aircraft have been seriously hit. This indicates that the component involving transport aircraft, refuelers and other equipment is now in serious doubt.
Strikes against the aggressor's military-industrial complex have already become systematic. With their mid- and hypersonic strikes, the Ukrainian armed forces are creating increasingly serious problems for Russia at the tactical, operational and strategic levels.
Ukrainian forces are carrying out systematic efforts to weaken Russian air defense and to identify other valuable targets in Russia's rear, as part of their campaign regarding aerial interception at medium and long ranges.
It has become such a common and routine part of the ongoing conflict we see today. Aviation manufacturing plants and various other industrial factories belonging to the Russian Federation's extensive military-industrial complex, at least those facilities that are located specifically within the territory of the European part of Russia, are now in general becoming frequent and consistent targets and regular objects of ongoing drone strikes across the region.
The American Institute for the Study of War notes that since the beginning of 2026, Ukrainian drone units have changed their tactics and targets for strikes.
Ukrainian drone units are increasingly prioritizing and successfully striking Russian artillery, drone operators, and logistical targets in the near rear to achieve tactical results. On March 17th, the head of planning for a Ukrainian drone battalion operating in the Lyman direction reported that Ukrainian forces have redirected their drone strikes, prioritizing the destruction of Russian artillery, drone operators, ground communication lines, and bridgeheads rather than Russian infantry. This reduces the number of Russian attacks and allows Ukrainian forces to achieve local successes.
Ever since the month of November in 2025, the total number of monthly strikes carried out by Ukrainian military forces at medium range from 50 to 250 kilometers from the front line has increased fourfold.
Any losses that affect the logistics of the Russian Federation mean that fewer and fewer different types of weapons will be returned to or supplied to the Russian army. And this in turn means a weakening of the air defense system.
The change in drone strike strategy essentially means that the initiative is shifting into the hands of the Ukrainian army. This was even indirectly confirmed by the Secretary of the Russian Security Council and former Minister of Defense Sergei Shoigu, who recently stated that there are virtually no safe regions left on the territory of the Russian Federation.
Well then, let's now analyze in detail the operational situation on the Pokrovsk front line. Fierce battles have been raging here for a year. Since the beginning of the day, the defense forces have repelled 17 assault actions of the enemy on the Pokrovsk direction. In the areas of the settlements of Rodinskoye, Mirnograd, Grishino, Pokrovsk, Udaknaya, Molodetskaya, and towards the settlements of Novo Alexandrovka and Svetlaya. One engagement is still ongoing. And now here is another extremely important topic. Russia is rapidly losing its combat aviation. Now, even Ukrainian FPV drones are shooting down multi-million-dollar helicopters of Putin's army. The hunting season for the Kremlin's air fleet is in full swing, and it promises to be the richest in trophies yet. We have prepared exclusive details especially for you.
Ukrainian drones have become black swans for Russian aviation.
It's not a good morning. We've lost another aircraft. The reasons are still unclear. Trouble never comes alone. A Ka-52 has been lost. One crew member was killed.
In just a few days, the invaders lost 2 Ka-52 military helicopters at once. One of the alligators was shot down with the help of an FPV drone near Pokrovsk. After the helicopter went down, the crew was finished off by fighters from the unmanned systems forces.
The Ka-52 crew died on March 20th, 2026 in the area of the Pokrovsk agglomeration. An attack helicopter Ka-52 Alligator was shot down. The aircraft belonged to the 17th Army Aviation Brigade. The crew, Timur Ildarovich Gemranov, captain and helicopter commander, was killed. Ilya Alexandrovich Kuzhuyev, senior lieutenant and navigator, was killed.
Unique for the whole world, but already routine for the Ukrainian armed forces, this was the third destruction of a Russian helicopter using FPV. It was carried out from a pre-prepared ambush.
Direct hit, hooray.
This operation was prepared over the course of a month. That is, the routes and movements of the Ka-52 were tracked accordingly. And the Ukrainian side essentially worked out a scenario where we caught them with a gun.
At the same time, drones with heavy warheads intended for middle and deep strikes are terrorizing Russian aviation deep behind enemy lines.
The results of the strike on March 17th, 2026 against the facilities of the 123rd Aircraft Repair Plant in the city of Staraya Russa, Novgorod region, Russia, have been clarified. Additionally, damage to an A-50 long-range radar detection aircraft has been confirmed. It was on the premises of the facility for maintenance and possibly awaiting modernization. During
the war, Ukraine has repeatedly struck at the occupiers' eyes in the sky. AWACS aircraft, each costing between $300 and $500 million, have been hit by Ukraine at least 6 times. Twice, these flying radars were shot down by air defense systems, and 4 times they were damaged by cheap drones.
The destruction of this aircraft, considering their limited number, is a serious blow to Russia's capabilities at this moment. In terms of adjusting strikes, both aerodynamic and aeroballistic, against Ukrainian territory.
Every day, hundreds of drones attack Russian territory. Dozens of them reach the largest cities, including Moscow. Russian air defense is not coping. The crews are nervous and making mistakes. In the Moscow region, an anti-aircraft crew shot down a civilian aircraft. In the plane, which was mistaken for a drone, aviation blogger Pavel Koshkin was killed.
See that flying legally is not difficult. That is now thanks to the work of Rosaviatsia and several other agencies. You can file a flight plan from your phone and 20 minutes later fly wherever you want.
In addition, Ukrainian drone operators have streamlined the destruction of Russian air defense systems as well as the companies servicing them, such as Alma-Sante in occupied Sevastopol. Just in March, 10 middle strike class drones destroyed more than 50 air defense missile systems at distances ranging from 50 to 300 kilometers.
We're talking about improving tactical and technical characteristics, such as increasing the warhead size and accordingly the ability to use Starlinks.
The drone war is evolving. Ukrainian drones, which previously focused on striking infantry and heavy ground equipment, are being improved. While FPV operators hunt aircraft in the air, middle and deep strike class drones are hitting Russian planes, air defense systems, repair bases, and airfields in the rear.
And now we move to the Sloviansk direction of the front. Putin's army is up to its usual tricks here as well. In the Sloviansk direction, the defense forces successfully repelled 3 enemy assaults in the areas of the settlements, such as Puntovaya Yampol, Platonovka, and Reznikovka. At present, another combat engagement is ongoing. And here is another very telling story. Even France is now strengthening and modernizing its military, fearing aggression from the Russian Federation. For example, Paris plans to equip its newest aircraft carrier, Peng, with 3 EMELS electromagnetic catapults instead of 2, as previously planned, as was previously assumed. This will allow the aircraft carrier to conduct up to 60 sorties per day, increasing the speed of air operations and compensating for possible technical malfunctions of one of the catapults. Exclusive details. Let's watch.
The warship of the future. France is building a giant nuclear aircraft carrier. An industrial group specializing in military shipbuilding has begun construction of a new nuclear aircraft carrier called Free France, which will become the flagship of the country's navy and replace the current Charles de Gaulle.
Our future aircraft carrier is a true legacy of General de Gaulle, of his life and destiny. Because, just as it was for him, so it is for all of us. The French spirit is a spirit of resistance, a will that nothing can stop. A will to resist for the sake of will itself.
The cost of Free France is estimated at around 10 billion euros. According to Emmanuel Macron, this is the nation's investment in its independence and sovereignty. The aircraft carrier is planned to be commissioned in 2038.
In the year 2018, this specific development project was officially initiated. It was the project ship itself that began to take shape. And so they proceeded with their plans. Right at the moment, France is already actively transitioning forward to preparations for construction.
According to the project, the future aircraft carrier is designed for a crew of up to 2,000 sailors and will be able to carry up to 30 combat aircraft, helicopters, drones, and all necessary defense systems. The ship will be equipped with a nuclear power plant with 2 onboard reactors.
The French are pursuing a clear strategy for military independence from the United States, at least in part, and within Europe itself. Such competition for their own military production, weapons manufacturing. The French have always stood apart within the Euro-Atlantic team. They have not relied on American military technical capabilities.
France possesses one of the most powerful military potentials in the world, relying on its nuclear triad, and the second largest defense budget in the EU. Earlier, Emmanuel Macron announced an update to the country's nuclear doctrine. France will increase the number of warheads. It will stop publishing detailed information about its stockpiles and is also ready to deploy nuclear forces on the territory of allied European countries. Negotiations on possible formats of cooperation are underway with a number of European countries interested in strengthening collective defense. The French initiative provides for various forms of interaction, from joint exercises and demonstrations of capabilities to the deployment of France's strategic aviation on the territory of allies. Paris believes that dispersing such forces will complicate calculations for a potential adversary and enhance the overall level of Europe's defense.
This is a reputational blow, and it will put pressure on Russia, at least by the very fact that countries which previously had not considered the presence of nuclear weapons, either of their own production or deployed on their territory by a third country, are now thinking about having such nuclear weapons on their territory. This is the effect of the entire geopolitical strategy that the Kremlin has chosen in recent times.
France is actively strengthening itself militarily, sharply increasing its defense spending. By 2027, it is expected to reach 64 billion euros. The French army is also distinguished by its high mobility, advanced air force, and navy. The core of the ground forces consists of modern tanks and self-propelled artillery.
That's all for today, but very soon there will be something new on the Front News program. Exclusive reports from our journalists in the hottest war zones, brought to you so that you stay informed. This was Vladimir Timoshenko with you. Take care of yourselves and your loved ones.